Hi there, thanks for joining me right here on the midday update. I'm Jessy Chahal. Today, of course, is a public holiday as we usher in Awal Muharam. Salam Amal Hijrah to all our viewers watching nationwide. On the program today, two very interesting discussions. One with Alan Poon, an award-winning author and property speaker on the property market and his outlook at this point in time. We'll be also looking at 2021 and beyond. Also on the show is Dr. Rosnani Mudin. She's the director at Sabah State Health Development or Department, to talk about the dengue situation in the country here alongside COVID, which of course is very real and on the ground. The prevalence of dengue still exists. So we really need to look into that as well. Also, Gerard Ratnam will come in with international news, giving us a snapshot of that. Let's kick off the program. First things first, His Majesty the Yang di-Pertuan Agong is calling on all Malaysians, in fact, to be guided by the spirit of Hijrah in battling this pandemic. He released a message in conjunction with Mal Hijrah, and in that message, he said all Malaysians should comply with the four-phase national recovery plan, which is a strategy to exist from the clutches of this pandemic. Now, Sultan Abdullah says the Hijrah or migration is a clear guide on the meaning of sacrifice and success. Well, in the meantime, the Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin expresses his hope that the arrival of the Islamic New Year would endow Muslims with faith and patience to continue efforts in our collective fight against COVID-19 through the National Recovery Plan. Of course, that is the end goal right now, to achieve the milestones that has been set by the National Recovery Plan. We see some states moving into the next phase, and some of us literally on standby, hoping to move into the next phase as well. But still, with the Prime Minister now, he says he is confident that the target of fully vaccinating all adults, or 80% of the country's population, against COVID-19 by the end of October can be achieved. Well, that's good news. He said this was based on encouraging progress made in the National COVID-19 immunization program, which is also, of course, ongoing rapidly and aggressively to reach as many people across the country as possible. Now, the Prime Minister says by the end of this month, more than 60% of adults, basically that translates to about 40% of the entire Malaysian population, will be fully vaccinated. We'll get there, and we'll get there real soon. Meanwhile, let's all do our part. Let's stay home. Let's try to be as safe as possible. Remember, no one is safe till we are all safe. Adhere to the SOPs. Do mask when you go out. Make sure you sanitize your hands and maintain social distancing. Doesn't matter if you're at the grocery store or, if you're out and about doing something else that's important. Now, according to Dato Sri Hishamuddin Hussein, the government is considering a relaxation to low-risk activities for residents in states under Phase 1 of the National Recovery Plan. Well, this seems like good news. Apparently, this is to ensure the mental health needs of the people are met somewhat. If we are still stuck in Phase 1, Hishamuddin says, or is suggesting what he believes are safe measures or activities like going to the park, open air night market, and activities of that nature. It has not been formally announced yet, but health experts are currently weighing its pros and cons. And separately, there is no decision yet to allow pregnant women to get their COVID-19 vaccine shots via walk-in. The Deputy Health Minister said earlier today that pregnant women would still be given priority under the National Immunization Program as they are at risk of infection. The Mother and Child Clinic as well will handle the vaccination process, including fixing the date. So just to reiterate, no announcement has been made at this point of time yet. Now, an additional 8 million ringgit will be channeled to the Malaysian Cultural Economic Development Agency to implement programs that will help in the survival and sustainability of arts and culture. And as we know, as an industry has taken such a big hit during this pandemic as well. Now, the Communications and Multimedia Minister has come out to say that the additional allocation will benefit between 500 to 700 arts practitioners and administrative workers. It can also generate up to 2,000 job opportunities involving 9 arts and culture programs covering grants, capacity building workshops, creative platforms, and very importantly, documentation. Well, to talk about what's happening in terms of the economy, how are we leveraging, how are we sustaining, how are we holding up. I'd like to bring in my guest for today, Alan Poon. He's an award-winning author and property speaker, as well as CEO at Superior Wealth Resources, Sinan Berhad. Alan, good to speak to you again. Good to see you again. I see that you, of course, are looking in the pink of health as well. So that's good news. Now, we want to take a sort of your perspective and viewpoint of the Malaysian real estate market this year and beyond. A few mixed messages here for those of us who try and keep up with what's trending in the news as well. But we know unprecedented lockdowns, has besieged the nation. It's also brought the real estate market to its knees in terms of construction, and even other negotiation activities has just come to a screeching halt. So, Alan, what would you say is in terms of is there a glimmer of hope or a signal for the market to rebound in the first quarter versus the first quarter of this year versus the last quarter of last year? Because during that time frame, we actually saw an increase. Alan.
Yeah, thank you, Jessy, for having me on the show, and salam hijrah to everyone. I believe the market has been proven resilient, as in the latest NAPIC report, that value and volume transaction has grown by 28 to 19.5% respectively versus the first quarter of this year and last year. It basically shows that there's still local demand, but of course, with the prolonged lockdown, we do basically affected, the real estate market is affected by the transactional activities. And however, I will look at it as more of a resilient market, presumably that transaction will still be flattish, but the value, what you call this, will remain the same. So it all depends on the recovery on the COVID-19, because now that we have the vaccination rate being boosted up, but it still all depends on whether jobs are there for for the unemployment that is happening in the country right now, as well as also the political stability of the country.
Right. So, Alan, while we take into factor those 2 points that you just made, but here's a bit of sort of a snapshot of reality as well. That the issues of oversupply, overhang, and overpricing was already there even before we got into this crisis. And so, based on that, what do you feel? What is your viewpoint? Will the overhang issue increase even further?
The overhang issue has not been something new in the market. It has been there since way before 2019, ever since the last boom in 2013. So I believe it will still take time for the market to absorb, and thankfully, or unfortunately, because of the pandemic, there are still time for the market to absorb some of this overhang or oversupply. And we can also see there's a lot of action by developers now, changing from the high rise to the landed market due to the new normal where space are needed. So again, we have to see sector by sector, all right, and also depending on the geography location of where the property is, all right. Ultimately, builders have to build sustainably going forward, and perhaps in the future, with all the overhang that is happening, perhaps the market or the regulators need to look into a build to rent or even co-living concept, something that is new. Yeah.
Okay, so when we put together a few of the hardships in terms of affordability as well, when we look at overpriced housing, what does this tell us during these next few months, perhaps till the end of next year and maybe to the half quarter of next year? Will it be a good time to purchase a property, especially if you're a first time home buyer, or even if you would want to purchase for long term in terms of your own stay, or even for investment, Alan?
Yeah, despite the current landscape that is, besieging the country, I believe there's still a lot of glimmer of hope, especially when it comes to first-time home buyer. With the current extended HOC or home ownership campaign, that was extended twice. Launched since 2019, extended to middle of last year and also this year. It will still happen, extend until end of this year, and it is something that I think first-time home buyers should take advantage of, with the minimum 10% discount on the purchase prices of selected properties. Having said that, also under budget 2021, they will also enjoy all this exemption until 2025. So coupled with the low interest rate, and it's a buyer's market right now. So I believe there's a lot of negotiation power, not just in the primary market, but also in the secondary market. So there will be still a bulk of transaction happening in the secondary market. So I believe
Okay.
it's good for first-time home buyer to look into that as well.
Okay, you say that, and even as I drive out to get groceries or on my way for my vaccination, whenever I do leave the house, I do see a lot of these office spaces, and it seems like it's just been, it's just hauntingly lonely. There's not a human in sight there. So, what are your views on the trends in terms of these segments: office space, retail, and even industrial properties, Alan?
Yeah, commercial segments, I believe there is still takes time for the market to so-called remain active again, because after the COVID, I think there is a lot of need to really look into repurposing some of the spaces, where there will be hybrid working environment for the employment market. Retail market definitely have to look into more of the delivery and e-commerce already, so there will be more needs in the industrial, such as for warehousing, as well as also data centers. Basically satellite, it wouldn't be so much of a headquarter where everybody cram out in a space together. So I believe the trend has always been there, that it is going to be hustle again, especially when the market picks up.
Ellen, very quickly, in under 30 seconds is all the time we have left on the clock.
All right.
What's your final take on the real estate market for stakeholders come next year?
Okay, I believe it's part of the property cycle. We are currently in a bottom right now, and I believe in the next 2-3 years we will still see the market recover. So builders should take advantage of releasing more of these current offload some of the properties. So it's a good time for buyers to buy, and for those who are ready, we are going to a new era with technology adoption. So I believe stakeholders such as property negotiators, everyone have to basically adopt technology, because we can't really go to the showroom as in the old days anymore.
Absolutely,
Definitely,
the
it's
new
a good
norm.
time to buy. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Alan, for
Thank
weighing
you.
in. In the
Thank you,
meantime, do
Jessy.
stay safe, and we'll speak to you soon
You
again.
too. Take
Of
care.
course, that was Alan Poon, author and property speaker, advising us and giving us his perspective in terms of what is going on in the real estate market. We know right now it is a property, or rather, it's a buyer's market for those looking to pick up properties, whether commercial, for long stay, for own stay, or even for investment. And here's a quick bite that we've picked up. The property market is expected to rebound in 2022, but we know anything can happen. Here's a quick word from our Health Minister, Dr. Adham Baba. Dengue cases in all states have recorded a drop between 20 and 94% this year compared to last year. But to give us a better perspective on dengue, joining me right now is Dr. Rosnani Mudin, Director at the Sabah State Health Department, to tell us a little bit more about the dengue situation here in Malaysia. Dr. Rose, good to see you again. You're looking absolutely lovely. Thanks for being with us, Doctor. Here's a quick shout out we wanted to give you. You were the Deputy Director of Infectious Diseases of the Disease Control Division in the Health Ministry before, and now, of course, taken up this role as Director of Sabah State Health Department, which only took effect just last month, in fact, Doctor. So big congratulations there. How are you doing in coping with your new position and responsibility, given the current pandemic or situation we're in, Doctor?
Yeah, thank you, Jessy, and thank you to Bernama for giving me this opportunity to participate in the interview. Actually, now with the new positions, there's a lot of works to do, especially not only combating COVID-19, dengue, but there's all other diseases, and also I have to manage also on the resources that we have in Ministry of Health. So it's a lot of work here, but manageable, and I'm happy to work here because I hope I can contribute more to these states.
And surely you are, Doctor. Even right now, as you speak, you're the only one at the office right now. At the office, so we all have to adjust and do what we can, right? So, Doctor,
Yes.
let's quickly take a look at the current update of dengue cases in our country right now. Perhaps we have been busy looking at the number of cases every day in terms of the virus, but we have overlooked that dengue is still, or rather, does still exist.
At the moment, the dengue situations in the whole country is under control, and the number of cases actually reduced. So as of August 7 this year, there were already 16,702 cases reported with 10 deaths. But this number is much less compared to last year, which in the same period of time, there were about 64,396 cases reported nationwide with 106 deaths. um, Means that this year there's a reduction of cases about 74% and reductions of deaths about 90%. And these situations is also experienced in Sabah, where until uh, August 7, there were only about 1,058 cases reported
Right.
compared to 2,936 cases last year.
Right. So the good news, doctor, is that it is all under control,
Yeah.
but we still have to, make sure that we still keep safe and take the precautionary measures as well. Doctor, a study published in May this year in the Journal of Clinical Infectious Diseases suggests that people who have dengue in the past are also twice as likely to develop symptoms if they are infected by the SARS-CoV-2 virus, which is, of course, the COVID-19 virus. What's your take on this, doctor?
Yes, because dengue and COVID-19 are caused by virus. So, except they are from different types of virus. So, dengue is caused by dengue virus and COVID-19 is caused by coronavirus. Therefore, the symptoms will be similar for both infections. So, for example, patient will have fever, lethargic, headache, nausea, and they become weak and sometimes vomiting. However, the complications will be different for these two infections. Dengue will be having more on cardiovascular shock, whereas COVID-19 will have more on respiratory failure or complications. So these are the difference between these two infections.
Doctor, now since the world is focusing on vaccine production and the speediness of the new vaccine technology, do you foresee dengue vaccine going to be developed anytime soon? Since this illness can also cause much of an outbreak here in the future.
Actually, dengue vaccine has already has been developed by a few a few industry. However, this dengue vaccine has not been proven to effectively can reduce the infection of dengue. Therefore, they're still doing more studies on how to improve the dengue vaccines. But it's already produced actually by some of the big company in the world, and it's already it's already given in some of the country. However, they need to improve on the effectiveness of this vaccine.
Doctor, what would be some of your reminders and your message to Malaysia as we circle back on, this mosquito-borne viral infection, which is predominantly found in a tropical country like ours?
Yeah, even though the number of cases and deaths already reduced this year, but I think the preventive measure need to be um, carried out, still need to be carried out um, until today, because the community participation, especially ensuring that the environment are clean and free from Aedes breeding places, is the most important factors that can reduce these infections. um, and Nowadays also we are having a challenge with the COVID-19 infection. So I also urge all the community to take care themselves, to 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 adhere the SOP, means that they need to do to wear masks all the time, if they are facial masks all the time if they are outside from their house, and they need to practice social physical distance and
Distance, physical distancing. Doc, I'm going to bring in Gerard Ratnam now, my colleague. He's at the office. And in fact, Gerard, thanks for being with us today. You had dengue twice. Tell us about it.
Unfortunately, yeah, it happened about 10 years ago. My blood platelets or blood count, as they call it went down to about 9 or 10 back then, and they had to give me plasma just to ensure what do you call it, that I got better or recovered faster. But by and large, basically, all you need to do is to keep your body fighting, and drinking a lot of water, a lot of fluids, and painkillers. That was the best they could do at that point, and it still is the thing now. So I guess a community approach, like what Dr. Rostani is saying,
Doctor, are you
is
still with us?
yeah, she's still with us. What she's saying is very important. We need that community approach, even with COVID. It's all about that community approach, whether it's COVID or AIDS. We need to get together to fight it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely correct, Gerard. I think community participations in the disease prevention is very crucial. So they need to take their role and applying all these preventive measure at at the individual level and also at the community level.
Thank you very much, Doctor, for joining us, and we hope that things are looking up for all of us across the nation as well. Dr. Salam Mal Hijrah from all of us on the Midday
Yeah,
Update team. We'll speak to you soon.
yeah. Thank
Well, Gerard, it's just you and I. You have the update for a snapshot of what's happening internationally. Over to you.
I'll get straight to it. Jess, Bangladesh police arrested a social media star, and this is for shooting a dance video with a woman at a mosque. Now, the clip triggered online anger in the Muslim majority nation, and 20-year-old Yassin was arrested at his home in Daukandi, which is about 60 kilometers from Dhaka. This is exactly what the police are saying right now. They're in the midst of hunting the woman in the video. Strong language indeed, but that's what's happening in Bangladesh. In the meantime, very quickly, let's take a look at what the UN is saying. The UN Climate Panel and World Meteorological Organization Secretary General Chief sounded a dire warning. Now, this is what they're saying. The world is dangerously close to being out of control and that humans are indisputably responsible. Already, greenhouse gas levels in the atmosphere are high enough to guarantee climate disruption for decades, if not centuries. In other words, the deadly heat waves, the gargantuan hurricanes, and other weather extremes that are already happening will only become more severe. So that's coming from our friends at the UN Climate Panel. I hope everyone listens to what they have to say, because
That's a huge
the
wake up
world's
call,
in
Gerard,
dire.
isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, so moving along, going down under in Oz, Australia's Victoria State reported a slight rise in new cases yesterday, raising the prospect of an extended lockdown in Melbourne. State officials reported 20 new cases, up from 11 a day earlier. They're also in the midst of battling the to contain a Delta strain outbreak in Victoria. And they say when it rains, it pours. This is certainly the case in Guinea. According to WHO, again, Guinea confirmed the case of Marburg disease. I'm going to spell that for you. Marburg, Marburg disease, the first recorded in West Africa of the lethal virus that's related to Ebola and, like COVID-19, passed from animal hosts to humans. Now, the virus, which is carried by bats and has a fatality rate of up to 88%, was found in samples taken from a patient who died last month in the southern Guangdong prefecture. The discovery comes just 2 months after WHO, listen to this, declared an end to Guinea's second outbreak of Ebola, which started last year and claimed 12 lives. And yesterday in Hong Kong began allowing vaccinated visitors from all but 10 places globally to enter the city, easing some of the tighter border curbs in the world. Travelers from countries now considered medium risk includes the US and Canada. They are able to enter the city for the first time. No surprise there. Fully vaccinated Hong Kong residents can board flights to these high-risk places. They can now go to Brazil, India, Indonesia, Ireland, Nepal, Pakistan, the Philippines, Russia, South Africa, and the United Kingdom. Back to you, Jess.
Well, Gerard, with all that you just shared with us, it's good news that we can perhaps start traveling again with some relaxation here and there. But with the way the Earth is being preserved or perhaps being destroyed, there won't be much left to see when we can actually get out and about. That's right. So all got to do our part there. Thank you very much, Gerard, for weighing in. Very quickly, here's an update. Over 25 million COVID jabs have been administered as of yesterday. This, according to the health minister. Very quickly, I just want to tell you what's trending on Twitter while you and I were, tuned in here. Of course, it is. Unfortunate that a musical icon here in the country, Siti Sarah, has passed on. She succumbed to COVID-19. Fans and followers of hers are still mourning and grieving upon her loss to the music and entertainment industry, as well as it is Awal Muharam. Tweets in the form of wishes have been flooding Twitter since earlier this morning. With that being said, Selamat Menyambut Awal Muharam to everyone celebrating today. Also remember, kita jaga kita. Till then, do take care and stay safe. Make sure to stay home, and we can all do our part to ensure that we try to reach that herd immunity as soon as possible. I'll see you again. Bye-bye.